Welcome to our next installment of Oracle Project Management Training. This is Project Management Essentials. We're going to be covering simplified project creation, creating and publishing a work plan, and then wrap it up with progress collection. So let's start now with simplified project creation. If you'll recall from our prior video, we talked about different ways you can create projects, whether it's from a previous project that you have, or more importantly, a powerful feature using a project template. So in this example, I'm using the building construction template, and once I enter that, I can see I've got some fields that are defaulted and some are required for me to be able to set up this project. So let's take a little bit deeper look at what is exactly part of a project template. So I'm going to choose the one I had there, the building construction template, and I'm going to open that up. And the first thing you can see, you can default a lot of setup information. So I can look at the project type, I can look at the organization, put in descriptions, things like that. And then down at the bottom, this is where I set up those default fields that I want my project managers to fill in every time they use this template. And then on the right hand side, you can also see which ones are required, which ones can they not proceed unless they fill that in. So that's going to really help enforce any of the business processes that you have when you are creating your projects. So it helps you with your project control. The other piece we'll look at now is what other things can you change. So as an example, your project structures. So if you want your financial structure and work plan structure to be shared and you want them both active, then you set that up in your setup for your structures, as well as on this project we're allowing deliverables. Some of the other things that you can default, here we're looking at our team members that are available on the project. So if we had a certain team that we want to always be used with this template, we could. And here we're going to look at our work breakdown structure that's defaulted for this template. So here you can see we've already pre-populated a work breakdown structure of tasks that typically get used when we're using this template. So your project manager doesn't have to always re-enter these tasks every time. That's a good guideline for them to follow, but of course they can always make the edits to it once they create the project. So that was a quick introduction into using a project template when creating your project and giving you more control over your projects by enforcing a repeatable process. So now let's move on to creating and publishing your work plans. Now, a work plan, as shown here, is really just a collection of tasks that need to be done to complete your project. We definitely understand that some of our customers like to use a different tool, such as Microsoft Project, to create their projects. So what I'm going to show here is our built-in bidirectional integration with Microsoft Project. So the project I created in Oracle, I am now going to bring that into Microsoft Project. So I'm going to select from our installed menu item, and I'm going to choose the project that I had created, test 1, and I'm going to bring that in. Now you also have options that do you want to bring in the work breakdown structure, task numbers, and the resources. So I'm going to be bringing all three of those in. So after short processing, you can see in the background we have our project, but I'm also going to bring in all the resources. So this is important because you don't have to recreate them in your scheduling tool, and all of the default values, whether it's rates or anything, those are already saved in Microsoft Project and used in your project plans. So now you can see I've got that project in Microsoft, and my project manager can now use his daily tool that he's familiar with to go ahead and make edits and changes and then load that back into Oracle. And that's a repeatable process that they would go through. Now I'll cover some of the basic features of our work plans in Oracle projects. We have different display views, a hierarchy, a list, and the standard Gantt view. We also have pre-configured views that you can personalize to see your data in different formats, basically changes of columns. And then of course we have our create task view, so you could select create task, determine what level it's at, and enter all the pertinent information for that task. We also have indent, outdent, move, copy, all the standard, and also export, so you can send your WBS to an Excel file. Then we have another nice feature where you click that icon and it will zero in on just those tasks. So if you have a large project plan and you want to see just a particular section of it, you can click on that focus icon and then you can go back to seeing the whole work plan again. The next feature I wanted to cover is our resource usage view of the work plan. So instead of looking at it from a task perspective, we're looking at it from the resources that are assigned to the task. So you can filter this to look at any particular resource type you want. And as you can see here, I can see my business analyst and my contractor have been assigned to certain tasks. I can look at the planned quantity for them, and I can also see are they overutilized or underutilized on this project. So it's a nice additional view for project managers. Now let's move on and talk about deliverables. So deliverables are essentially the output that you have to produce to complete your project or your task. So I'm showing you one way here that we can create a deliverable. We have it assigned to a particular task. I've got a blueprint, and you can see I've got some information whether it's been started or not. And if I click the update button, I can also go to a different tab where I can get more information. This is where I could also create them. So you have information like the completion date on it, what's the status, and there's several different types of predefined deliverables. And this is where you could also associate it to the work plan task if you don't create it already through the work plan. Now you can also see you have actions, so you can have several steps through the life cycle of each deliverable and separate completion dates. And we also provide integration to Oracle procurement through here, so you could create requisition docs, for example, purchase requisition, and also to Oracle shipping. So through the completion of a deliverable, you could assign that this is now ready to ship. So we have that integration as well. So it's a very powerful feature to use deliverables. And there's also integration with billing, so once you complete milestones, you know that it's now time you can bill your customer. Final piece I want to cover for this section is publishing your work plan. So essentially publishing your work plan makes it available for the other team members to begin to see what they're assigned to and execute on their work. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this through the review and publish work plan button, or I could also go back through the maintain versions. And on this page, your working version is the one that the project manager has been working on. You can just click the publish button, and then now you can review all of your information. And once you click that publish button, it's going to go through a short process, and then it's now created a new published version, which your team now works on, and it also creates it as a baseline. So you can also see what's the published date and time. You see that it's now your baseline. And you can also reset an old version to a baseline once you have multiple versions. And then your working version gets updated and you'll have multiple versions of that as you go forward working on your project. And then we also have the ability to store your deleted versions if you need to have those for any historical reason. Final piece I want to talk about today is progress collection. So there's several different things you can set up for each of your projects in terms of collecting your progress. So you would access that through your work plan setup progress, and then you can see you've got your progress cycle, so you can decide how often you're going to be collecting your progress. A lot of options there. And then you can also determine what's my percent complete roll-up method. Is it cost, duration, effort, or is it going to be manually based? And then there's several other buttons, whether you'll allow collaborative progress entry, which I'll talk about in a second, whether you'll allow ETC effort and cost collection, and then even are you going to allow your project managers to make overrides of physical percent complete or not. First, I'll talk about the centrally controlled process of progress collection. So that means the project manager is collecting it. So we have our different views in the work plan. So I have a effort progress one, so I can see my planned effort, ETC effort, any percent complete, and then I can individually update the progress on a task. So I can enter my physical percent complete or the dates I estimate or actually finished, or I can even default it from any resources assigned to that project. The other option, though, is you can also do a mass update progress. So the project manager can maybe if you're doing a paper-based system would collect the progress from team members and then he would manually enter in the information. And then you can also update it. There's a tab for just assignments, so anywhere that people are assigned or deliverables. Now, the other thing I talked about is the team member, so collaborative entry. So here I'm logged in as a team member, and I'm seeing my own individual tasks and deliverables across all of my projects. And if I want to enter my progress for those, I can do that for each of those tasks individually. So essentially what I would do, go to my shortcut, and I would say update progress. I'll click go. And then now it will give me a screen where I can now go ahead and enter. I can see all the tasks I need to enter progress for. I can see my plan values, my actual work, my ETCs, and I can update my estimated finish dates. And if I want to go drill into more detail on each one of those, I could just click on a specific task, and then I'm able to see more information and update all the dates and information for that task. So that ends our Project Management Essentials recording. So stay tuned for upcoming episodes where we'll dive deeper into generating and editing budgets and the forecasting process, and future sessions on resource management, billing, and reporting for projects.